How you feel about the Warriors, yo? You think they done, or what's your take on them? You think they done, or what's your take on them? Did they sneak in? You think?
How?
Stuff they could.
Wow.
I mean, definitely a play-in.
Yeah.
A play-in. I just think they missed their window. I think they missed their window to trade the young players before we saw too much of them. I've seen too much of them to highly rate them at this point. So I can't, like, if you could have traded them at their peak potential or their peak, it's like a stock. You got to sell the stock when it's hot. You can't sell it when it drops. The stock can drop.
Same thing you said about Zach Wilson.
Yeah,
right.
Too much of them.
Right, because you could have got a nice. I'm not gonna say a nice haul, but Jonathan Kuminga with the potential of what he brings with the length of his arms, paws, and what he do on defense and all of that. But then you see it and it's like, no. Momo Moody.
Let me rephrase that, because I'm not going to say they haven't played bad per se. They just are not in a situation in which they can develop that much, because when you have a team with Steph, Clay, and Draymond, Wiggins, you kind of have to devote your just the way you operate to the vets. Like you can't put for instance, there was a conversation a couple games ago. Moody actually was 3 for 3 in the fourth, so he had 11 points.
Yep.
I'm glad
you're bringing this up. Yep.
He was a flamethrower in the fourth, and there was a conversation like, should he had stayed on the floor because of what he showed in the fourth quarter. And it's kind of a tough conversation, because on one side it's like, okay, you want to see Kerr. Sorry, I don't even know what that was, but you want to see Kerr develop his youth, develop his young players, but at whose expense, right? So if you got Wiggins on the bench waiting to come in, or if you have Klay Thompson, who's been up and down this season, but he's Klay Thompson, he might struggle in the beginning, but he usually figures himself out towards the middle of the season, and then gets himself to go for the postseason. So it's like, it's a hard thing to juggle if you Kerr, because if I'm Kerr, it's like, I get developing the youth, but we're not going anywhere if Klay is not Klay. I'm not going anywhere if I'm not showing that confidence in Klay, that regardless of your struggles, I believe in you, and I want you to know that I believe in you. If Klay's in his head, especially with no contract extension, they're not going to do what they want to do, and they're not playing for play-ins. They're playing for championships. That's the only reason you give Draymond Green's by mass $100 million, because you want to extend the window per se. I don't know, man.
I don't think they. I just think they too. I think they too old now. I think they don't. I mean, besides Curry, where your scoring gonna come from?
Right.
Klay not gonna give you that every night. And by the time 82 games go past playoff games, them legs definitely gonna be dead.
But what about Draymond? They got a Hall of Fame. They got 3 Hall of Famers on that team.
Yeah. I think that's we already know how that's gonna go.
I can't stand that shit, man. But
shout out to, that's why you really gotta be mad at the Celtics, man, because they got the last championship they needed, really.
Yep. they got the one that really validated Steph.
They got the
gave
one.
him his MVP. Yeah,
they got the one. So now it's like, okay,
that is true.
See, but it reminds me, now we lost that Super Bowl, but when we lost to Green Bay, you could kind of see we was getting a little long in the tooth on defense, and we brought everybody back. This reminds me of that. They should have blew this shit up a couple years ago, because you got to stay young, especially when one of your core, his offensive skills have deteriorated with that, and he didn't have that many to begin with. But now he's definitely just out here, just running up and down, just passing it to folk.
And getting technicals. He had a technical in the same game I was talking about. He had a key technical late. And it's like, it's gotten to the point where Steph said last game, like, I just need him to play basketball.
Right.
Stop.
You forget they wasted a top pick on Wiseman.
Yeah, they did.
That's 3 lottery picks, kind of. I don't want to say wasted, but if I'm a win
LaMelo
now
was on the board.
Oh yeah.
Like,
yeah.
Oh, because you don't want to bring another guard into the mix. Like,
you need a guard now.
But it's crazy though.
Use that young boy now.
Steph. You did it with Steph. You did it with
Monte.
Steph. You already had Monte.
Yeah.
And they too. Now I can see you saying that because they was both small guards. LaMelo's fucking 6'7". They too different. Now, is it the unwavering loyalty to Klay? That motherfucker tore his ACL that night.
I don't think they could have played together on the same court. Like Klay could have ran the 3. LaMelo could have guarded bigger guards. Steph you still can hide Steph. You still got Draymond there to be an enforcer. So they could have made it work if they wanted to. They just was, I guess they thought they were the smartest people in the room. They thought, the noise behind LaMelo Ball. It's like, okay, well, go get James.
Not wanting to deal with Pop.
Have fun.
But,
and the smartest person is Bob. He got the hell out of there.
You see it.
Hey, I'm getting that hell out of here.
Because I think Bob wanted to move on from Draymond and go and get younger. And I think that decision to bring him back was above Bob. And at that point, it's like, writings on the wall.
You gotta have a meeting with Mike Dunleavy on how to handle Draymond. That ain't worth. He ain't worth that headache.
And that's why some owners, it's crazy. Like, so I gave you the reins to build this championship roster to do everything to win me multiple championships. And now that you want to do your job again and create another roster, you're gonna go with my head and say we gotta keep Draymond. I don't. Sometimes owners do too much. Sometimes, man. Tepper type shit.
Stay away and let the basketball folk do basketball shit.
And I don't want to harp on Draymond. Like, I'm taking the bias out. Like, how does that contract age? Right? Because you're looking at him now, he's not who he was in 2015. Now, if you tell me Draymond Green was 2015 Draymond from 2015 to this point, then I might concede the Hall of Fame argument, because in 2015, 2016, he was a different player. He was a different defender. He was a better shooter, a better scorer, more complete player. Mm-hmm. Now he's a shell of himself, and then you paid him 4 years, $100 million. Mm-hmm. That's a lot of bread for a deteriorating player that's only has value on your team. He doesn't. I mean, I'm not going to say what value he has across the NBA, but he has more value for the Warriors than he would for the Raptors. Let's just keep it a buck.
Yeah.
So I don't know how they get from out that contract. I don't know how they move forward. Maybe you let Moody play a little bit more, and hopefully he turns up. Kuminga continues some growth. Maybe you can make some moves at the trade deadline, but they need some scoring, and they need some vets. They need some vets, not being Chris Paul. I'm talking about
Chris Paul
younger vets.
Real vets that contribute. Go get
Chris Paul is done.
Yeah. He's cooked.
Chris Paul is cool if you have the youth around him, but this is too old of a team, bro.
Yeah, this ain't OKC.
Yeah, I don't like.
Yeah. This ain't OKC.
Basketball fit wise, he's cool, but defensively, with Steph, and Clay ain't locked down. Clay no
on
more.
a bum wheel, right?